Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bring Freedom's Safe and Sound Challenge 2024. I'm going to start out with just me, but Zona's going to be joining me later, and hopefully the weather doesn't get in the way because it's a little iffy right now. I don't know. Like, there's been some talk about maybe there's a hurricane coming. Maybe it's just going to be a tropical storm with a lot of rain and stuff, which is normal for this time of year, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So if it cuts out, bear with us. We will join later and if we have to, we'll reschedule. But we have some amazing speakers this weekend. Thanks for joining us for session 1 right now. It is 7 o'clock on Friday the 2nd, but session 2 is going to be tomorrow on Saturday, and that will be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So August 2nd and 3rd, you get your training done. This is the Safe and Sound Challenge, and it's all about sounding the alarm and keeping our children safe. So our main goal with this training is keeping the children safe that live in our homes, live in our communities, and even around the world. It takes each one of us working together to create those ripples of change that make waves of change, and that is our goal. And with the Safe and Sound Challenge, we are going to learn how to do that together. I do have a special guest tonight, Robbie Smith, who is part of One More Child, and I'm excited to have her on in just a few minutes. And I was going to go ahead and share the PSA video that One More Child made about joining the fight against human trafficking, and so I'm going to go ahead and add that now and play it. It's really powerful. It's short, so bear with me. I think you'll get a lot out of it, and it'll be a nice jump off point for Robbie.
Nathan loves me more than my mom ever did. Yeah, he hurts us sometimes. But he always says that he's sorry. And he says he loves me more than any of the other girls.
Yeah, man. Yeah, she's real good. She's new, but she's good. Trust me. Yeah, we'll be there.
He doesn't expect a lot from me. Just that I do what I'm supposed to do. Keep my mouth shut.
Quicker.
The best part of the day is when it's all over. Nathan is happy. And life gets back to normal. But sometimes, the worst part of the day comes again too quick.
I just thought that was so powerful, and just a little bit of the work that I do with One More Child. I knew them first as a group that works with foster care and even foster prevention, and so there are a group that does a lot of great work. And one aspect is their anti-trafficking field and also caring for those that are being have been rescued and are survivors. So that is a big part of what we're passionate about as well. So I reached out to a friend who's on their team, and she's going to be speaking tomorrow. But tonight we have Robbie Smith. She has a bachelor's in criminology, master's in mental health counseling. She has 14 years experience in residential juvenile facility as a director of case management. She has been working for 1.5 years as team supervisor for anti-trafficking mobile team and working with anti-trafficking survivors, those at risk, and educating and partnering with the community like us. So I'm so excited to introduce Robbie and kind of hand over the reins to her. Hi, Robbie. I'm glad you're
Hi, good
here.
evening.
So happy
Thank
you
you.
could join us.
I am so glad to be here, and I thank you so much for inviting us to collaborate with you all in bringing freedom. This is
Yeah,
truly a fight that everyone in some way can be involved in. Um, so to
absolutely.
So tonight, just wanted to do a small presentation about some of the things, especially as parents or caregivers or family and friends, things that you can kind of know, signs of trafficking and ways that you could help. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's
All
see.
right. And I will remove myself as I bring your screen up.
There we go. So, as she said, I am with One More Child. We do have a lot of multiple things that we do, including foster care. We have global missions. We also help single moms, and we help um, struggling families with our family support. So, again, it's all about One More Child, helping vulnerable families and children um, from a Christ centered approach. And so our particular team, we have 5 mobile teams throughout the state of Florida. And so we go out into the community to serve our clients, those that are survivors, those that are at risk. Sometimes it can be just for educating parents and children who are in situations where they can be at risk to get into a life of trafficking. So we have had the opportunity. Dixie, is my screen off centered? No,
I
it is.
don't see it at all.
No.
And usually if you put up a share screen, it'll show me. Ah, hi Zona.
Hello.
This is the other part of Bring Freedom. Zona Garrett, who she was a little late getting home.
Let me try
Here
it.
we're
Let
gonna
me try it again. I hit present,
okay.
but it
Mhm.
didn't.
And it
Oh,
should pop up on my side where I can add it. But I think I had to take mine off. So
Mhm.
it's off now. And so you should be able to. We're gonna get it worked out. It's not a big
We are.
deal.
It's gonna be great.
If everything went totally perfect, we would be worried.
Mhm.
I closed it out. Well, I could always
Okay, it's fine.
hold on.
I think most people will be joining us on the replay, so they can always just fast forward through this.
Yeah, it'll be
My
great.
apologies.
Worries at all.
Let me try it one more time. Let's see.
So one more child. I know that they are Florida based.
We also have now we have teams in North Carolina
Oh,
and Tennessee, and we just had our newest team a year ago is in Cincinnati, Ohio.
oh wow. Well, that's
Yes.
awesome.
So we are branching out here in Florida. We're in Orlando area, our Circuit 10, which serves Hardy, Highlands, and Polk County. We also have Fort Myers and Tampa area and Brevard County.
So you're kind of
So we
spreading your
are
wings.
branching out.
That's amazing.
We are branching out. So now let me see. When I go to share, am I sharing a window? Let's see. Maybe that's it.
Ah, there we go. I'm going to
Is it
add it to the stage. Yep, there we go. I'm going to remove myself.
okay? Awesome. So for our anti-trafficking team, we were blessed last year in 2023. We served over 1,007 survivors through our mobile teams, and we've impacted over 12,969. That includes our education and our training. We're out trying to, we partner with law enforcement to train them. We're trying to partner with those that are in education, those that have community programs that they're running, just so that everyone is aware of anti-trafficking efforts and what is going on around in our communities. And so we have the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000 defines two primary forms of human trafficking. So, we have sex trafficking and we also have labor trafficking, and that often gets confused. And people often think that those that are coming across the borders are involved in sex trafficking. A lot of that is the labor trafficking. But sex trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act, in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such act has not attained 18 years of age. So anytime that it is a minor, they're under the age of 18, in the court system, we do not have to prove force, fraud, or coercion. It is automatically seen as sex trafficking. So that's a very key component, because we know that minors are not at an age of consent. So that covers those that are under the age of 18. If anyone has any questions at any time, feel free to stop me and I will be glad to answer any questions. So the FBI issued this warning that U.S. National Human Trafficking Hotline reports that between 2015 and 2018, almost 1,000 potential sex trafficking victims were recruited using online services such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Craigslist, as well as online dating sites. So that has been one of the biggest areas that we see, that a lot of trafficking is going on online. A lot of people are, we have, a lot of myths and misconceptions. So you have a lot of people who are looking for the white van. They're looking for those that are going to, be kidnapped, but it does not always happen that way. So we are seeing a lot of transactions happening online. And so it's very important for our families to be involved in internet safety. And we'll talk more about that. But having those conversations with your children about the internet. And sometimes we don't want to share a lot, or a lot of parents may not want to, you know, they want their kids to have privacy. But a lot of perpetrators are infiltrating into these, and they use a lot of tactics that start off very friendly. And so we want to make sure that our children are safe and that they're covered, and adults as well. And we know during COVID time, a lot of people spent a lot of time on the internet and the computers, and so this was a where we see a lot of that spike going on. So there are some vulnerabilities that we definitely look for, that we want to be aware of, because that's what the perpetrators are honing in on. So when you talk about individuals, they're looking for those with low self-esteem, um, history of depression, history of abuse as a child, or having parents who are not around, having issues in school with bullying, or they tend to spend a lot of time by themselves, or homeless and runaways. And so they look for these vulnerabilities because they want to be able to step in and fill the gaps in that person, that individual's life. And so that's how a lot of the grooming will start off, um, posing as someone who can give them the things that they don't have. And so we do know that not all of the victims or those that will be approached are going to fall up under these vulnerabilities, but these are some things that we definitely have to be aware of. When we talk about cultural and societal, some of those include the homophobia, peer pressure, early sexualization, glamorized pimp drug culture, especially in our music, the things that our kids are watching. There are a lot of things that are so common. There are songs that people sing and don't even realize that the words of those songs have things to do with trafficking. And because it's so popular, we really don't take the time to um, pay attention to those things. So those are a lot of the things that, as parents, as guardians, or those that are involved with males or females that could have some of these vulnerabilities, we want to make sure that we play close attention to those. Now, when we talk about environmental, we're talking about things like poverty and our drug culture, and race and class, and large numbers of transient males, and prostitution exposure. So again, I will say that not everyone will have these vulnerabilities, because victims can come from also um, well-educated families, well-to-do families, all the way down to the level of poverty. And so, male and females, a lot of people will think that it is only a lot of females, but there are also a lot of men, women, young boys. So it can go from a variety of things, and a lot of some of that does with our environmental vulnerabilities has to do with kids who are in group homes, um, in high schools. We do see that traffickers will also use other teenagers to bring along their friends. So sometimes we're looking for adults who are perpetrating, but they will utilize other children to bring children in, saying, hey, I have a way that, you can get money. I can show you how to do this, make some fast money. So it is happening in our high schools. So we have to be mindful of those things um, as well. Any questions from anyone? So between 2021 and 2023, we're looking at a 323% increase in online enticement. And so a lot of those enticements will include false advertisements for jobs, for modeling, any ways in which they can get in and begin to start those conversations is how they will begin that grooming process. So as far as online child enticement, It involves an individual communicating with someone believed to be a child or a minor via the internet or an app with the intent to commit a sexual offense or abduction. It takes place across every platform, social media, messaging apps, even on your gaming apps, things like Fortnite, which is one of the popular ones. So some of the common tactics is grooming, having conversations, having those conversations start off real small. They will pose as someone who's the same age as them, and so it makes them to feel a lot more comfortable. And then they'll begin with the sexual explicit comments or asking for pictures. Um, and they do what we call a lot of love bombing, and that's a lot of compliments and a lot of shared experience, and you know like just over um engaging with the child, and offering things like gifts and alcohol and drugs and a place to stay, especially for those who are homeless or needing food. They will hone in on those things that a person needs, and that's what they will use as an incentive to entice them. So it's definitely important to monitor and be aware of who your child is online with, who their friends are, who they're having conversations with when they're online. 98% of child enticement victims do not know the offender. I know for a lot of sexual abuse cases, it is often someone that a person knows, but a lot of the victims now don't know who their offenders are. They're meeting them as strangers, and these people are just building confidence with them and building a rapport with them to the point that the child or the person feels like this is my friend or we're starting a relationship. And so they make them feel like they know each other, but prior to um, them getting involved, they're not known to the offender. So sextortion. Now this is when you have an adult who is enticing a child to send images or photographs of themselves through chats. Snapchat is one that is very popular because those videos don't stay online that long. So it's, they entice them with the fact that it's not going to be on that long. And so what they will do a lot of times is they will ask for these photos, and then it becomes a time where they will start to threaten them that if they don't receive um, money or anything for the photos that they sent, then they're going to expose them and share their photos with friends or family or with their school. So we have had experience with victims who don't even realize that they're being trafficked. They just are trying to figure out a way not to be exposed for the mistake that they make the first time of sending those photos. And so a lot of times people will find themselves trapped in things or trapped in a situation that they don't even recognize that they're being extorted or they're being trafficked. They're just trying to figure out how to get out of these um, situations. So you want to make sure that you are keeping communication lines open with your children or any children that you may be involved with, or even younger adults or older. Keep those lines of communications open so that when someone does fall into something where, they did something they weren't supposed to do, that they have someone that they can talk to in order to be able to get the help that they need and not feel like they're trapped in a situation that they're um, stuck in. Sextortion predator red flags. So the person does not have a working camera. They will want the victim or the one that they're trying to groom. have a camera and they want them to share their camera, but they won't have a camera that works, or they won't have a camera that they will turn on. Again, the fast paced contact, love bombing, just from the very beginning, just a lot of compliments, a lot of, just telling them how special they are, or how they can help them. Someone that quickly attaches to a different person. And then there is the use of fear. A lot of grooming will not start off with fear, but it will turn into fear. So it can quickly go from the love bombing. And once they have that connection with the person, then it goes into the threats. So now a person has to, they're telling them that they have to do this. Um, they have to continue to do this, or they may hurt their family, or something bad will happen. A lot of times, these people that are grooming, the offenders, their sites won't have a lot of photos. It won't have a lot of information. They'll have a lot of misspelling on their profile, because this is just a profile that they're using just to gain connection into someone else. And so they'll also have just a new profile, not a lot of followers or friends, and that's also a way from them being tracked. So it's not a profile that they would use so that you can see what's going on in their life. It's going to be very minimal. These are some teen news stacks. According to a 2020 report, approximately 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 10 boys aged 13 to 17 report sharing their own nudes, despite the fact that those images are legally considered child pornography. A lot of teens are not going to think of it as child pornography, especially if they're sending nudes or sending photos to someone that they believe is their same age. So they're often not going to grasp that this is considered child pornography. 1 in 5 kids aged 13 to 17 said it's okay to share a nude as long as you send over an app that doesn't save it. So we have to also be mindful when we're talking to our kids about the way that they are thinking about things, the way that they are thinking about um, the internet, because although that it says it doesn't save it, we know that there are a lot of ways, especially law enforcement, to obtain that information. So what we put on the internet, although we may think it is lost, it is not always lost. 30%, 38% of girls aged 13 to 17 have a secondary account. So they'll have their primary account, and then they'll have the account that their parents don't know about. So it's very important that you stay alert about what your kids have and don't have. You'll have to be nosy in this day and age. We have to be consistent, and we have to be aware of what's going on. More boys are sharing nudes in middle school, and more girls are sharing nudes in high school. So, dating sites, social media, and sex trafficking. As you can see, there are large numbers of users on all of the social media sites. For Facebook at 2.9 billion users, Snapchat 1.5 billion users, X, which is Twitter, 36.8 million users, TikTok 1.5 billion users. So there are a lot of people who are using these sites. They're at any age, and so with us knowing that there are a lot of users, then we have to know that there are a lot of perpetrators. If you look at the ages 16 to 24 spend about 2 hours and 24 minutes on social media. Instagram is the best platform for engagement, and Snapchat videos automatically delete after being viewed. So again, it makes it the perfect platform to exchange videos and sexually explicit messages. So, some common online grooming techniques: the perpetrator engaging with victim often as a slightly older teen or a young adult. Grooming, love bombing, again, providing the victim emotional support. That is definitely a key component, especially for those who are already vulnerable and have already been through a traumatic experiences, maybe at home due to sexual abuse or physical abuse, or those that are in foster homes that they don't have their parents or their families and they are looking for that emotional support. Perpetrators will hone in on that. Beginning a relationship, manipulating the victim to send sexually explicit messages, blackmailing the victim to send those messages, and a growing circle of perpetrators encouraging in person meetups, pushing the victim's boundaries. So they start off really not forceful in the beginning, but they will continue to do things that is going to push the boundary of a person. A lot of times perpetrators will also they do a lot of the love bombing, and once they've built a relationship with that individual, then they will start pulling back. And so that's where they start to do the emotional manipulation. They will give them a lot of attention and then they will pull back their attention, knowing now that that person is going, you know, to want to know what happened, and they want to continue that friendship or this growing relationship. And so that's allowing the perpetrator to break the boundaries of that person. So there are some signs of online exploitation, irregular sleep patterns, and keeping late nights, because your teens or your young adults, they're going to try and do those things or be on the computer at times when the parents are asleep or parents are not looking over their shoulders. So just being mindful if you're noticing that your kids are up late at night with irregular sleeping patterns, having a high screen time, especially on the the websites that we know are a higher risk, like this Snapchat and the Kick. Um, just watching how often they're staying on these types of websites, being secretive about friends, having new friends that they don't want to share or talk to you about. One of the main things to be mindful of is young individuals having high price items that they don't have the means, or their families do not have the means to pay for: clothes, jewelry, um, excessive makeup, extra money, extra phones that parents did not purchase. So having multiple phones, cell phones, um, any evidence of being in a controlling relationship, where they have to, always report to this person where they are, or not wanting to do anything, without certain individuals, or if you find when they are with certain individuals that that individual is doing most of the talking and they don't really speak up for themselves, those are some signs. Fear of not responding quickly to a phone message, always having to be close to their phone, or starting to show signs of isolation where they're maybe not hanging out with their normal friends that they were close to or hanging out with, and just kind of keeping to themselves. So those are some signs that you want to be aware of. And so now we're going to talk, go into talking about what are some of the solutions and some of the next steps, um, that as a community partner, as an individual, that you can help. So being as a caregiver, being proactive. So not letting social media teach your children things that are important, or not letting social media be the conversations that your children are having, but as a caregiver, having those conversations with your children, having a plan about technology in your home and sticking to it. Um, do not post in real time. Do not tag your locations. Turning off your locations. Being careful with the information that you disclose. So you want to, as early as possible, if your children are using computers, their cell phones, having these types of conversations with them early on for their protection. Physical searches of their rooms, backpacks, purses, and bags are things that may be necessary if you think that there is some suspicious activity that they have going on. Don't wait to set up security measures on your kids' devices, and don't rely on default parental controls. Um, as it says, just because the social media app is not installed does not mean it cannot be accessed. So your child may not have Facebook or Instagram or those things downloaded on their phone, but there can still be ways that they can access those. So you want to make sure, if you're setting the parental controls, that you have them. If there are things that you do not want your children to access, that you have full control of those. Monitoring the screen time, any apps that they purchase. I know a lot of the parental controls will send messages to the parents, or they will ask for the parents' permission before a child can download. You want to make sure that you have those kind of precautions in place. Have the talk with your children at a young age. Pediatricians are recommending conversations beginning at age 5, and use appropriate medical terminology or vocabulary that's easily understandable to a third party. So you want to start having these conversations um, with your children early. I know for our mobile teams, we serve ages 0 to 28. And so zero sounds like a odd number, but we do have those that are survivors and victims at early ages, as young as 4, 5, 6. So you want to start having conversations with your children about computers, about strangers, about um, what to share, what not to share, having those conversations early on. um, and creating a safe space for hard conversations. Build connection by spending quality time in small, consistent increments. Ask children for their perspectives. And you will be surprised if you have, we've had conversations with teenagers, and if you start talking about some of these vulnerabilities or some of these suspicions, they are able to identify in their schools other young children that they think can fit these profiles. So you want to have a safe space for your children to be able to have these conversations with you. Um, it's very important that you manage your reactions to the conversations and the disclosures. Um, because you may be surprised, if you happen to ask your child, has anyone ever inboxed you about, a modeling job, you would be surprised that they may have had those messages inboxed to them, but they may have not responded or thought anything about it. But you just want to keep a level head when you're having these hard conversations, and don't react in a way that it's going to prevent them from continuing to have conversations with you. Um, and you want to have conversations in private areas where they cannot be overheard by their peers. So just be prepared for uncomfortable conversations, but be grateful that your children will want to have those conversations with you. These are some of the reasons why children may not share. They've trauma bonded with the perpetrator, again, with that love bombing, and them feeling that they need that emotional support. then they may feel that they're codependent now on this person. And they can feel conflicted if the perpetrator has been meeting emotional needs. So, although they're hearing that this may be an inappropriate relationship, or um, they're going to feel unsure because this person is now met some of their needs and of the things that they are looking for. Shame or guilt, especially in religious circles. Um, they may be shameful that they've made a mistake and got engaged in this type of situation that they may have felt was innocent in the beginning, and now it's turned into something that it wasn't supposed to be. And so they don't know how to get themselves, and they may be embarrassed or feel guilty. So this is a reason that early and honest conversations about sex, anatomy, and online safety are very critical. Fear of retaliation. Often children may have shared identifiable details that perpetrators may threaten to hurt. So they may have shared information about their families, their friends, where they go to school, people that they know. And then the perpetrator will in turn use that against them and threaten to harm mom or dad or siblings, or out them at school. And so, because they are afraid of the retaliation, they may not share. Um, and so that's why it's important to remind your children that they will never be in trouble if they come to you to expose any type of abuse or exploitation. You want to create that safe place that they know that they are not in any type of trouble. Sorry, I skipped. So, how to respond to disclosure? Um, if your child or another child discloses to you that they may be at risk or have some type of involvement in sex trafficking or sextortion, being extorted, manage your reactions, avoid blaming or accusing the child. They've already are feeling maybe shame and guilt because they engage. So you want to make sure that you're not putting the blame on them, because again, they are being manipulated um, by someone who knows very well what they are doing. Inform your child of the next steps, if that's reporting, talking about boundaries, and processing, parent processing, processing how you feel about it and having those conversations. Set immediate boundaries. Emphasize that boundaries are not to punish the child, but to protect the child from further harm. So you immediately, if it's an instance of something happening online, you immediately need to put those parental safety control measures in place, limiting them. They may have to shut down their profiles or change, but let the child know that it is for their safety. Physical searches, keeping their electronic devices, having them, allowing them only certain times under your supervision that they can use their computers. Help the child identify safe and trustworthy methods to manage their emotions. So, again, remember the perpetrator was likely a large source of their emotional help. And so now the parents will have to step in to help find other people or other ways that they can manage their emotions without being dependent upon this person. And how to report. Um, you can call 1-800-96 abuse. Every individual is a mandated reporter. See something, say something. So we want everyone, if you have any suspicions or you become aware of their disclosure, please do not hesitate um, to call the abuse hotline. We want to banish the DCF stigma that they're not here to help, but they have been very beneficial in helping those that are, they are also in the fight for those that are victims of sex trafficking. You can contact DCF as a parent or as a local resource. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your child, but if you are aware and you know something that's going on, you as an individual can report to the abuse hotline. There is also a national human trafficking hotline. Um, if you want to take a snapshot of this slide, that would be beneficial. Um, Also, you can report to law enforcement. So if it's an immediate emergency, please always dial 911 and police department will report out. And we've been fortunate enough in our Polk County area that if law enforcement, we do have a good collaboration and partnership with Polk County Sheriff's Office. So if there are emergency situations, there have been times that we have been called out by the Sheriff's Office to come in and immediately assist in providing services and helping those that are in need. So that is all of the information that I have for you tonight. If you have any specific questions that I did not address, the floor is open. Please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Robbie. That was super informative, and I loved how you did like a general overview and then got into some of the details of what we're facing, what the kids are facing, and
Yes,
what we can do to prevent, but also to address it if we discover it. And that
yes.
was really amazing. There were a few questions. I think
Okay.
most of them were put up by Zona and I. So um, I was wondering where that 98% statistic came from.
We
I
have it
think it
on.
was the print was so tiny. It did
Oh,
have, was it NCMEC?
let me let me go back and look um, because we do have it on there.
Because, yeah, that was a huge number, like
Dixie,
98%.
she sent you the PowerPoint, correct? Because there are all of the sources where we got it from.
Okay. All right.
It's
I'll look at that.
NCMEC.
Okay. So, which is
What is
the
that for?
National Center for Missing and Endangered
Exploited
Children.
children. Yes.
Yeah. All right. And Zona pointed this out. I had not heard this. I didn't know if there's been any legal ramifications of AI yet.
Okay. I see some of your questions. Um,
Yeah.
yes, those that with online exploitation, yes, they can become victims of in person. Um,
Right.
if
Is that
because
happening a lot, do you think? Is it
um,
common?
it is common because what will happen, they will go from online to having them meet in person.
Yeah. That's what I
And
was
so then
asking.
again, it goes from that. So it's what we call the Romeo pimp or the
Yeah.
lover boy. And so they just really love on these girls or boys
Hmm.
and, the lifestyle, and they get them hooked on the money and the clothes and all of these things. And then it goes into that abusive nature, which we call the gorilla pimp.
Mm.
So a
Yes.
lot of what we actually see here in our area is familiar trafficking, where the
Yeah. Which
parents are
is
trafficking their children um,
right.
in exchange for money, for drugs or rent or whatever
Yeah.
their needs are. So we do see a lot of that. A lot of our We deal with a lot more teenagers,
Hmm.
so there are quite a few. And so again, like I said, we have to be mindful that traffickers are using the girls or the boys to recruit other young girls or boys.
Yes.
So we definitely have to be mindful. There is not a stereotypical picture of what a trafficker looks like or what a victim looks like.
Mhm.
Because sometimes they can be going to school all day, and then in those hours after school they can be trafficked.
Yeah.
You can have adults who are working and going to college and their life seems normal, but they have this going on in their life as well. So it can happen to anyone, any age, any race.
Mhm.
It can be happening right next door. So
Right.
it's very important that we are talking to our young people and we're communicating, and we're definitely building those safe places where they can feel like they can just talk about anything or bring questions if they see things like this happening.
Exactly.
You know.
I know with I read a couple stories about, boys who had been victims of the sexploitation, and, they just didn't see any way out, they didn't see any hope, and these were kids from good families and, that didn't really have any of the
Yeah,
so-called vulnerabilities, but, um, they they just didn't see a way out, and they ended up committing suicide, and I'd read, at least 2, and even though I'd had plenty of conversations with my kids about the dangers of online, stuff, I'm like, "You know what?" And I have teenagers, so I was like, "You know what? If this happens to you, it shouldn't because we've had all these conversations, but if it happens, just tell me. You know, I will not blame you. We will find a way out together." So that's my cat's tail. So if that looks weird, I was like, "What is that?" Um,
and it's
but I'm like, "There's a way that
yeah,
we're gonna address it, and we're gonna get through it, and it doesn't matter. There's always a way out, and there's hope." And
yeah,
I think, yeah, there's been a lot of good. Organizations making it known. Yes, there is a way to address it, and there's life after this happens to you. And if it happens to you, there is hope and there's life after.
there definitely is.
Yes.
Mhm.
Did you see any more questions? Oh no, I didn't.
Um, no, just the comment about especially turning off precise location.
Yes. Which,
Is
that's on Snapchat, isn't it?
I mean that's on almost every app now,
Yeah,
even
Oh, now
YouTube.
it is.
Even
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Because a lot most apps you'll notice it will tell you to have your location on, and sometimes we don't realize on our phone we have the location on period, and we
Yeah.
don't think about it until
Mm.
the app pops up and says, you go to post and it says, oh, you're in Winter Haven, Florida.
You're like,
we
shh,
we
shh,
don't
I'm
we
not.
don't think about it, and like our kids will, you could be out to dinner and they're taking pictures and we're here, and they innocently, they don't think about that
mhm,
this is a way for someone to track where you
Yes.
are.
right. Well, and a lot of apps now have built in, people that are close to you, so they
Mhm.
can open up like a function to see who is on that app or that app is sharing their location that's near them.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
seen that. I have seen that on some apps, so it can pinpoint where your friend is and show you where. So just reminding our kids that all of these things can be, especially when you're communicating with someone online that you don't know
Hmm.
Mhm,
with, and especially because people are pretending to be people that they're not, or pretending to be younger, they don't realize that they could be in danger.
mhm,
Right. Right. And like you just mentioned, it could be they're talking to someone their own age. It could even be someone from their own high school. But it doesn't mean they're not in danger because of
Right.
the way the Romeo groomers work. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's scary. Well,
So,
thank you so much for sharing with us tonight, Robbie. And I'm going to let you go. That was a little bit longer than I thought, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad you were here tonight.
mm-hmm.
Thank you
And
so
hopefully
much
we'll meet
for
in
having.
person.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. And
Wonderful.
anytime you need us or you need anything, we are always here. We are always willing to help in any way that we can.
Great.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much. Have a great night. Have a good
All right.
weekend.
You too.
All right. Sona, I've done a lot of talking. I'm gonna let you take over. I know you've come straight from work and meetings and all that
Yes.
stuff, but
Mhm.
anything you want to share to kind of wrap up tonight?
Just really paying attention. There's a lot of laws that are being contemplated right now that really affect these areas. So I believe that there is a law that is on the books that they're debating about AI generated
Mm,
CSAM.
mm-hmm.
And I say that way so that hopefully they don't flag us
Yeah.
on the live video, because sometimes they do that. But where they're taking normal pictures of children and altering them with AI and
Yes.
then sending it to the kid or blackmailing them. So also having those conversations about not every picture that you see online is real, not every person that says they're your age is real. Lots of filters now that will help you um, take away those fine lines and wrinkles
Well, and the bags under
that
your eyes.
make you look really young. So we say that to say, you know, yes, there are a lot of things that are going on right now that you want to be mindful of, you want to be paying attention to, but realistically, day in and day out, having real conversations with your kids
Yes.
and saying, "Hey, what's going on?" Um, and it can be as simple as um, who's asking them who's annoying you today.
Yeah, that's good.
You
Who
know,
did
because
you talk to?
yeah, because like sometimes when you're like, "Did you learn anything in school?" Kids are like, "No." And you're like, "Did you do anything?" And they're like, "No." So like you have to
What are
come
you
up with,
doing now? I'm gonna play a game.
right? Do you have any
Yeah.
homework? No. And you're like, really? No homework? Really? Um, but realistically, having those conversations kind of built in is really important.
Mhm.
Just having positive interactions with your kids, having those touch points of just, hey, it's good to see your face. I'm glad that you're in our family, and those little things can go a really long way
Oh,
for
yeah.
building and strengthening those relationships so that people aren't able to kind of come between you and them
Yes, and
and figure
having
it out.
those 20-second healing hugs, even if they're teenagers, they don't want you to touch them.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, like,
It's important, even if they don't know, it's important, and it
mhm,
it's not just the healing power of touch, it's also a reinforcement of their value, of their inherent value, of that they're loved, that they're seen, that
mhm,
their identity is important.
mhm.
Um, that's really good.
Well, and I heard this quote this week and I thought it was really good. And it said, "We have always been taught that confidence is a feeling."
Mm,
And confidence isn't a feeling. So, confidence is an ability to try something, even if you fail.
yes,
And
that's
then
good.
it's reinforced with competence. And competence only happens if you keep trying.
Yes.
So, really, the feeling that they're looking for is the competence feeling, not the actual, like, oh, I'm going to feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
So having those conversations with your kids, dealing with mental health things, working with them to develop coping skills. I know that you've probably already heard this a million times, um, but those things are really really important as they're
Yeah.
building out relationships, as they're strengthening their identity and their boundaries, and learning what they will accept from friends, what they won't accept from friends.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times it's people that we've vetted in some way or another that is dangerous or unsavory or
Yeah.
has ill intentions. So, teaching your kids how to end friendships if that's needed, having conversations with your kids, and honest to goodness, just with your own friends, having conversations about, hey, do you really think that this relationship is serving you anymore?
Yeah. That's
And
good.
letting them know, like, you can distance yourself from a person without having to have the conversation of, I'm distancing myself from you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That is not whatever I was taught. I was always
No.
taught that you owe
Be
them
nice.
to be nice incessantly forever. And then I would end up with people that would, like, try to touch me, and I'm like, I really don't want to be touched.
Mhm.
So really kind of relieving some of that pressure, where it's like, it's okay to put something physical between you if that person tries to touch you and you don't want to be touched.
Yeah.
It's okay, to like make it awkward, and to give yourself and your kids permission to be awkward about it. Like, if somebody touches you and you don't want to, don't be silent. Say, ew, that's weird. Why did you do that? What's wrong with you? Because a lot of times, if you get
Yeah,
loud, they will leave you alone, or they will
that's true.
pull back. So,
Yeah.
really allowing the consequences of their own actions to fall squarely on them, and not
Mhm.
taking up the emotional baggage side of that, or the mental load of that, by trying to protect them. If they're doing something that is inappropriate or that makes you feel uncomfortable, be loud, be intentional, draw attention to it, really make it awkward, lean into making it awkward.
Let's let's be awkward together. And that's true also for online communication.
Mhm,
Like if someone's saying stuff that makes you uncomfortable,
mhm,
tell someone else. Well, tell
mhm.
them straight out, I don't like this. This isn't making me uncomfortable. Block them.
Yeah.
And then tell someone else.
Mhm,
And if it's real bad, like what Robbie was just talking about when they're asking for nudes or like pressuring you to meet up or whatever,
mhm,
um make sure and tell someone, block them, but also report it. Don't delete it. Just block them from communication, but they can use the information from their account
mhm.
to track it down
Well,
because that is
screenshot it
illegal
first.
activity. I'm sorry.
Screenshot it first
Screenshot it. Yeah.
before you block them, in case they delete it.
Oh, true. Yes. That's
So
good.
then you have, like, you can file a police report,
Yeah.
and a lot of times without evidence they won't look into
Yeah.
things further. So,
That's good. Yeah. Screenshot it. But make sure and, reach out, get loud,
mhm,
be awkward if you need to. But that that's key to keeping yourself safe, keeping your children safe. Um,
yeah.
Sorry, there's a really weird noise happening right now, but I'm not really
Oh,
sure where that's
that's
coming from.
the lawnmower.
It is?
Hmm.
I thought it was on my side.
No, I don't. I think she just ran over the hose. So
Okay, I was
that's
like, that's
that's
some
our
creepy
second
weird
hose down
noise.
this year. We're
Oh.
we're rough on the hoses this summer.
Um, okay, so I had one other short internet danger video, but I wanted to remind everyone we're going to have our second session here tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, not in the morning,
Right,
in the
right.
afternoon at 2 o'clock. and I have another friend from One More Child that's going to share. I think Zona's going to share, and I am going to share. And we're going to keep this one short and sweet, but we're we're doing it. We're being faithful, and we're gonna keep some kids safe together. And that is our big goal here. And this one is called. Let me see if I can bring it up. Share my screen. It's called Internet Danger. Everyone knows Sarah. Have you heard of this one?
I have not actually heard of that one. I'm excited to check it out with you.
It's only a minute.
That's fine. Yeah, but I know you said that this one was short, and I was like, we haven't been short. We filled the whole hour that we normally.
I know we did good. I was afraid that we would be short, but I think it's been good. All right, this is only a minute, and I'm gonna. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Donovan, do it like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, what? Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about.
Oh, that's Sarah?
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends,
See you later, Sarah.
even not so friendly people. Think before you post.
Wow.
So I thought, I mean, it's short, it's to the point, it gets that creepy vibe across really good. I thought that was really good. And these are, kids they're posting all about themselves. I mean, I work at the mall, and I had this group of, they were young, probably younger than Sarah there. They were probably like 12, 13. And they're like, they have their Slurpees and they have their phones. And one girl, she's like, oh, I just got 16 new followers. And Bobby, I'm like, that's just not.
Yeah.
That's not very cool. So, parents, we definitely need to do better. And aunts and uncles, we need to do better. We are voices in these kids' lives too. It's not just their peers.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents. We're all important voices to these kids, and even if we don't feel like it sometimes, they do value us too. So all right, we'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Have a great night.